You have everything you need right now to take the first step. You have the knowledge from this video, you have the framework I've given you, and most importantly, you have the burning desire that brought you here in the first place. That desire isn't an accident, it's your potential calling you forward. The question isn't whether you can achieve your goal, the question is whether you'll honor that calling by starting today. This is your moment of decision. Not your moment of preparation, not your moment of consideration, your moment of decision. Will you let this be another video that motivated you temporarily, or will you make this the turning point where everything changed? Will you add this to your collection of things you'll do someday, or will you make today the day you became the person who takes action on their dreams? Don't let this be another video you watch and forget. Don't let this be another burst of motivation that fades by tomorrow. Make this the moment you stopped being someone who thinks about starting and became someone who starts. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now. Make them proud. Remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Your dreams are waiting for you to stop preparing and start pursuing. Make today the day you stopped being someone who thinks about success and became someone who creates it. The world needs what you have to offer, but only if you have the courage to start sharing it. Now go take that first step, your future self will thank you for it. Then one day, she applied Hill's starting framework exactly as I just shared with you. She defined her definite chief aim: I will generate $1,000 per month from my online business within 90 days because my children deserve a mother who isn't constantly stressed about money. She set a deadline that terrified her. Then she identified one action she could take in the next 24 hours: create a simple website using a free platform. That's it. Nothing fancy, nothing perfect, just one step forward. Here's what happened next, and pay attention because this is the pattern that Hill discovered in every success story. The moment Sarah took that first action, her brain shifted from seeking reasons why it wouldn't work to finding ways to make it work. She started waking up an hour earlier to work on her business. She began noticing opportunities that had been invisible to her before. She met people who could help her in places she'd been going for years but had never connected with anyone. The momentum built automatically because she was no longer someone who thought about starting a business, she was someone who had a business. Within the first week, she had made her first sale. Not because she was suddenly skilled or experienced, but because she was in motion. Within the first month, she had learned more about business than in all her months of research combined. By day 60, she was already at $800 per month, and by day 90, she had exceeded her goal at $1,200 per month. But here's the most important part: the obstacles didn't disappear. She faced technical problems, difficult customers, and moments of doubt. The difference was that she was solving real problems instead of imagining potential ones. Today, Sarah runs a multiple six-figure business, has moved her family to a better neighborhood, and most importantly, she's teaching her children that dreams are meant to be pursued, not just wished for. But none of this would have happened if she hadn't made the decision to start before she was ready. The knowledge, the confidence, the skills, the connections, everything she thought she needed before starting came as a result of starting, not as a prerequisite for it. The most powerful part of Sarah's story isn't her financial success, it's the person she became through the process of starting. She went from someone who saw herself as stuck to someone who sees challenges as opportunities. She transformed from someone who waited for permission to someone who gives herself permission to grow. This is the real magic of Napoleon Hill's principles. They don't just change your circumstances, they change your identity. And once your identity changes, your circumstances have no choice but to follow. I want you to imagine it's 1 year from today, and you're sitting in exactly the same place you are right now, watching another motivational video, making the same promises to yourself, and feeling that familiar ache of unfulfilled potential. How does that feel? That sick feeling in your stomach is your future self screaming back through time, begging you to understand that every day you don't start is a day your dreams get older, a day your competition gets further ahead, and a day your confidence slowly withers away. Here's the mathematical reality of procrastination that Napoleon Hill discovered: opportunity has an expiration date. While you're perfecting your plan, someone else is imperfectly executing theirs. While you're waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is creating their moment. While you're consuming more information, someone else is taking action with the information they already have. The cost of waiting isn't just the time you lose, it's the compound effect of momentum you never build, relationships you never form, and skills you never develop. But right now, in this moment, you have a choice that will define the next chapter of your life. You can let this be another video that inspired you temporarily, or you can make this the moment everything changed. Here's exactly what I want you to do in the next hour, not tomorrow, not next week, but in the next 60 minutes. First, go back to that definite chief aim you wrote down earlier. If you didn't write it down, do it now. Second, identify the first action you can take today, not the perfect action, not the biggest action, just the next logical step. Third, tell someone about your commitment before the day ends. Text them, call them, or comment below this video with your goal and your deadline. This is your moment to join the ranks of people who don't just dream about their future, they create it. Right now, as you're watching this video, someone with half your talent, half your resources, and half your advantages is building the exact life you've been dreaming about. The only difference? They started. While you've been perfecting your plan, researching the perfect moment, and waiting for all the stars to align, they took messy, imperfect action and began moving toward their goals. I know this stings to hear, but it's the truth that Napoleon Hill discovered when he studied over 500 of the most successful people in history. Every single one of them had one thing in common that separated them from everyone else who had the same dreams but never achieved them. You see, you've probably watched dozens of motivational videos, read countless books, and made promises to yourself that this time will be different. But here's what I've learned from studying Hill's principles for over a decade: knowing what to do isn't your problem. Your problem is the invisible force that keeps you stuck in preparation mode while your dreams slowly slip away. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to share with you the Napoleon Hill principle that transforms procrastination into unstoppable momentum, and more importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how to apply it starting today, not tomorrow, not next week, but today. This isn't another feel-good speech that leaves you motivated for 20 minutes. This is about rewiring the fundamental way you approach starting anything in your life, because the person you could become is waiting on the other side of the decision to begin. And that decision needs to happen now, while you're watching this, while the fire is still burning inside you, before doubt creeps back in and convinces you to wait just a little bit longer. Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow," and then watched tomorrow turn into next week, next month, and eventually next year? If you're honest with yourself, you probably can't even count. You're not alone in this struggle, and you're not lazy or unmotivated. You're caught in what I call the preparation trap, the illusion that you need just a little more time, a little more knowledge, or a little more perfect circumstances before you can begin. The excuses sound so reasonable, don't they? I don't have enough time right now with everything going on. I need to research this more thoroughly before I make a move. I'm waiting for the kids to get older, for work to slow down, for the economy to improve. I want to make sure I do this right the first time. These aren't excuses, they're sophisticated forms of self-sabotage disguised as wisdom. Meanwhile, every day you delay is a day your dreams age, a day your competition gets further ahead, and a day your confidence slowly erodes. Here's what's really happening: you're experiencing what psychologists call analysis paralysis, but there's something deeper at work. You've unconsciously trained your brain to find comfort in the planning phase because planning feels productive without the risk of failure. But here's the brutal truth that Napoleon Hill discovered: the cost of not starting compounds daily. It's not just about the time you lose, it's about the momentum you never build, the lessons you never learn, and the person you never become. Every single day you don't start, you're making the choice to stay exactly where you are, and that choice is killing your potential one postponed decision at a time. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and over 500 of the most successful people who ever lived. He didn't just interview them once, he lived with them, worked alongside them, and discovered the hidden patterns that separated those who achieved extraordinary success from those who lived ordinary lives. What he found wasn't what most people expected. It wasn't about talent, education, or even luck. It was about one fundamental principle that every single successful person had mastered: the power of definiteness of purpose combined with immediate action. Hill called this the starting point of all achievement, and here's why it's so powerful. When you have a definite purpose, not a vague wish or a someday dream, but a crystal clear, burning desire, something magical happens in your brain. Your mind shifts from seeking reasons why you can't start to finding ways to make it happen. But here's the key that most people miss: definiteness of purpose without immediate action is just sophisticated daydreaming. The successful people Hill studied didn't just know what they wanted, they took the first step before they felt ready, before they had all the answers, and before the fear went away. Think about Edison when he decided to create the light bulb. He didn't wait until he understood electricity perfectly. He started experimenting immediately, failed over 1,000 times, and learned through action. Henry Ford didn't wait until he could afford to build cars, he started in a tiny workshop with borrowed tools. Andrew Carnegie didn't postpone his steel empire until he had enough capital, he began with nothing but an unshakable belief in his vision and the willingness to start before he was ready. The pattern is always the same: burning desire plus immediate action equals unstoppable momentum. But here's what Hill discovered that will change everything for you: the act of starting actually creates the confidence, knowledge, and resources you think you need before you start. It's backwards from what most people believe. You don't get confident and then start, you start and then become confident. You don't gather all the knowledge and then begin, you begin and then acquire the knowledge you need. This is why Hill said that, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, but only if you're willing to start before you're ready and learn as you go. Here's something that will blow your mind: the moment you take the first step toward any goal, you literally change your brain chemistry. Scientists have proven what Napoleon Hill intuited a century ago: starting creates what psychologists call a completion tendency in your mind. Your brain suddenly shifts from seeing all the reasons why something won't work to actively seeking solutions to make it work. But most people never experience this transformation because they're waiting for motivation to strike like lightning. Hill discovered the opposite is true: motivation follows action, not the other way around. This is where Hill's concept of burning desire becomes absolutely critical. Notice he didn't say mild interest or pleasant wish. He said burning desire, the kind of want that consumes you, that makes staying where you are more painful than the risk of starting. When you have true burning desire, starting becomes inevitable because not starting becomes torture. But here's where most people get stuck: they're waiting to feel that burning desire before they start, when the truth is that burning desire often comes after you begin moving towards something meaningful. I want you to pause right now and ask yourself this question: what is the one thing you've been putting off that, if you started today, would completely transform your life in the next 12 months? Don't overthink it, the answer is probably the first thing that came to mind. That's your burning desire trying to break through the noise of doubt and distraction. The reason you haven't started isn't because you don't want it badly enough, it's because you've been waiting for fear to disappear before you begin. Hill understood that fear and faith cannot occupy the same space in your mind at the same time. Every moment you delay starting, you're feeding your fear and starving your faith. But the instant you take action, even the smallest step, you flip the switch. You stop being someone who thinks about doing something and become someone who is actually doing it. This identity shift is everything. Your brain starts working for you instead of against you, opportunities begin appearing that were always there but invisible to your inactive mind, and momentum builds automatically. This is the secret that changed everything for Hill's successful subjects. They discovered that starting creates an unstoppable chain reaction. The first step reveals the second step, which reveals the third step, and before you know it, you're not just moving toward your goal, you're being pulled toward it by forces you set in motion the moment you decided to begin. But this miracle only happens when you stop preparing to start and actually start.